that makes no sense. The addiction is still alive. That's why they do this maintenance. They call it, Suboxone maintenance. And I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are, especially on your show, that are not going to like what I'm saying because it's not popular.
Bring it.
And I'm sure some of you guys out there are probably on it.
Hey friends, welcome to the Victor Marks Podcast with Victor Marks, founder of All Things Possible Ministries. Welcome to the show where we bring you real conversations faced with life's hard truths, stories of redemption, and the latest from the front lines. Whether you're on the road, getting your day started, or finally settling in, we've got an exciting new episode planned for you. So let's dive into today's show.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Victor Marks Show. Today is both going to be exciting and new because I've never had a guest like this on our program. But I'm talking about Michael Lynch. He is, and first of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you for the invite.
I'm so excited to have you on here because we really haven't had anyone that has been in your profession, come from your background, and helped so many people specific to addiction. And, man, we're in a crisis right now.
Yes, we are.
In America.
Yes,
I know everybody's aware of the fentanyl issue. But, hey, alcoholism is still around. And but today, folks, I want to encourage you to tune in. You will not be disappointed. You'll be encouraged, especially if you have a loved one who's been struggling. Michael will give great hope for the many that he's helped, and we welcome him today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. It's an honor to be on this show.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's great is you came for what we call a Samantha Weekend here at the headquarters training center in Colorado Springs. What was that like for you? Because people wanting to know. Because not many people get to come out here and do that.
It was amazing. I have to say, this is going to sound whatever, silly, but it actually changed my life. And I came out here because I'm very protective over the men and women that I help because I think that most of them have been taken advantage of their whole lives. Yeah. And once God put them under my care, I take that very serious. And so anybody or any organization that wants to work with them or do anything, I'm very cautious on them getting exploited once again.
I love that.
So I flew out here because Samantha I met through a really good friend of mine. And then he passed away of a fentanyl overdose. And at that memorial, I really connected with Samantha, and I could feel that she was genuine. Yeah. And so I decided to, see what this was about, and I came out here to just oversee and to see what was going on. And
before you continue, folks, Samantha is director of our outreach for ATP Ministry. She's based in Las Vegas, and she's got a huge outreach to women who have been in the sex industry or currently are. Trafficked or abused, but that's the connection.
And I like her because she's kind of the equivalent in what she does of what I do. She's like on the streets, in the front lines, going to get those girls off the streets, and that's how I am with the addicts. And anyway, I came out here and honestly meeting you and seeing the work that you do, I was dumbfounded. By nature, I guess I'm a cynical person.
Yeah, you and me both.
I call it vigilance, but it's truly cynicism sometimes. And I could see how genuine everyone was here, and I could see what you guys are actually making a mark. And that was surprising. And and honestly, I'm a Christian, and I don't really lead with that a lot, to be honest with you, and what I'm trying to do, because when I come to the first addict, that's the last thing they want to hear about is God. Right. When I first start to help them. And
now why is that? Because, and it's interesting. I don't necessarily lead with that either. Okay. For me, this is why I think a lot of people are so jaded by Christianity.
I was.
Okay. Yes. So there you go, and it's like, people. I tell folks this. People ask me when I'm overseas, how many of those Muslims are you leaving? Are you preaching the gospel? And and I'm like, well, I've been reduced to living it. Yeah. So same for you, right? Yeah. People don't care what you say until they watch what you do.
Well, I want people to, the biggest compliment I can ever get is for somebody to know I'm a Christian without me telling them. That's the biggest compliment. And I've had it happen a lot of times that eventually someone will ask me, do you happen to be a Christian? That's a compliment.
Wow.
And
love that.
I'm very, I wasn't raised very well and had a rough life, and I didn't have my.
What does that mean? What does that mean for people listening? Wasn't raised well.
Well, my parents didn't want to be in the parenting business.
Okay.
They threw me out like trash. They were drug addicts themselves. And so I was raised in the system, in and out of the system. I ran from every foster care, ran the streets, joined gang really young, got into drugs, and had a lot of abuse happen to me. And
Well, what type of gangs were you involved in? Was it like, should we not? All right, let's not go there. But
let me
I'm just
give a disclaimer.
Okay.
Here. I'm going to give a disclaimer. So I spent most of my life incarcerated, and I was very heavily involved in street gangs and prison gangs. And my whole, I thought that the best I can do in life is to try to be king of Turd Hill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to be the biggest and the best and the baddest and make it all the way up. And as such, stepping away from that, I still give it the respect to where, I stepped away from it and chose a different life, and I don't really want to
smash it.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting, and not many people may understand this, because for 20 years we've worked with incarcerated youth.
Yes.
And when they say the gang is the only family I have, they mean it.
That's right.
It's not this deal where they're just trying to be cool. No. Folks, there are families that are, our family system in the U.S. is so disintegrated, especially among, I would say, the lower economic
That's right.
Folks that, people are just trying to survive. And once addiction comes into play, it's a actual natural, logical step. It's dysfunctional, but it's a natural, logical step for a kid to try to be part of something.
It's trauma bonding.
Right.
It's trauma bonding amongst all of us, and it's we don't know what love is, so we equate it to love.
Gosh, that's so good.
And that's all I ever knew, I knew that I wished I could have the families I saw on TV or the neighbors or the kids at school.
Right.
But it just wasn't my roll of the dice, and I blame God for it.
Yeah.
Because I would go to, my grandparents took me in when I was first thrown out by my parents, and then they ended up dying, and they were very, very Irish Catholic. I'm 100% Irish, second generation born in America.
Okay, I'm looking at that leprechaun. It's kind of scaring me. You got that. My wife's Irish too,
good.
so
She's
I live
she
it
must
with
be a
one.
hothead.
Seldom wrong.
That's
I can tell you right now.
That's right. Yeah, and they used to make me go to catechism and mass, and I would hear that this God loves me and all of this stuff, but what was happening to me at home didn't really show that. And then when my grandparents died, and I was going through these systems, and I went to juvenile hall very young, and I pretty much would stay in that life. I'd get out. It became incarceration where that was home,
right?
And when I got out was not my comfort zone.
Well, let me ask you on that note. It's hard for people to believe, but it's scary.
Yes.
When you're going to get on the free.
That's right.
I see anxiety of young men and women. They're like, I'm like, what's going on? You're short. You're going to be getting out. And they're like, at least I have a bed here, 3 meals, and again, isn't that sad that that's where we are as a society?
Well, I'm more comfortable in my pain than the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to.
Familiarity.
Yeah.
Versus, I struggled with that regarding success.
Yes, because
Right?
of your childhood and your trauma.
Yeah.
They say that we're afraid of failure, but we're not. That's our comfort zone. It's success that when we get to success, and I did that in my life. I got out and I ended up having success with this crazy stuff. I did this fight stuff.
Right.
And I got everything I thought I ever wanted. I had a multi-million-dollar company, best-selling fight films. I had a wife. I had a daughter. So it was time to destroy that, because how dare I think that I deserve that?
Time to pull the pin. Folks, we're just talking real life here.
That's right.
I don't know if you remember a case, a young man shot and killed his dad in Riverside County, Joseph Hall. His father was a white supremacist. 60 Minutes was doing a show on them, and after they left the house, the kid actually killed his dad that night. But it was his stepmother that said, "You need to kill him or he's going to kill us." Long story short, I visited him when he was in.
Okay.
And I remember just going, "My gosh, Lord, what am I going to tell this kid?" And the first question I asked him was, "Do you miss your dad?" And he just started crying. He was shaking so bad from the trauma. He said, yes.
Yeah.
I said, I know this is all messed up. And it was a horrible childhood, stuff like you and I know. And then that. Well, he ended up doing his time, all his years. And he got out as an adult. And he actually came here, on staff with us.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. I kept my promise to him.
That's awesome that you did that.
And as great as he had it, everything, he pulls the pin.
Yeah.
And
let me ask you, was addiction involved?
No, that's what's amazing.
Okay.
He never succumbed to addiction because he was incarcerated since he was like 10 to 21. So he never, I mean.
Well, there's more drugs in there than there are here.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He chose not to do the addiction route.
His was just violence.
Got it.
And big kid, sweet. But somebody was like, "Oh no, it's." He left. I said, "Don't worry, he's on his journey." And I actually just got a text from him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's like, "I love you," and thank you for everything you did. And he actually joined the Forestry Service.
Oh, okay.
Got accepted into the California Forestry.
Okay.
And made it. But folks, I guess the point with that is you got to look at success differently these days. When someone who's an addict and someone who's struggling, the timetable is God's. And what would you tell a parent or a spouse or someone?
They're the hardest to deal with. They're the hardest to deal with. Like I tell, unfortunately, I do really well with addicts, like exceptionally well. And I'm not just saying that, it's a fact. Like our relapse rate is so low if they'll do our program the way it worked for me. Because all I don't try to tell anyone to do anything I haven't done. That's my thing. I get a client come in and I say, listen, I'm going to ask you to do some things, but I want you to watch me. If you don't see my feet matching my mouth and I'm not doing what I'm telling you to do, you don't have to follow any of my rules. So I say, is that a deal? I think that's fair. Wow. So then, and they do these things and it's the same exact thing. Because I have 15 years clean and it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
And I continue to do the things that got me the 15 years. Wow. Because I'm not trying to give it back because I'm a beast when I go out there. And these kids, these young men and women that are coming in, like younger and younger, and they're dying. It's the #1 death rate right now for kids 14 to 23, #1 death rate, fentanyl. And now the death rate is surpassing all of the world wars casualties combined. But we haven't declared a war.
No.
That's an odd.
Well, why do you think that? Why do you think this
I?
administration is allowing
all administrations?
No, and I agree. I agree. Just this flow, because I have friends.
I don't know where's it coming from. We all know where it's coming from, right?
Yeah.
So fentanyl, the precursor to it, is all produced in China.
Yep.
And then it's sent over the border to the cartels.
Yep.
And then they make it, and then they put it over in our country. And they happen to be killing all of the kids that would be soldiers or fighting age.
Yeah.
And but the problem that lies is Big Pharma created this in 1993. They created the opiate crisis. Big Pharma lines the pockets of every politician in Congress, both sides, while they have everyone arguing on sides while they're getting their pockets, they're getting their money. Yep. They're not doing anything about it. They create the crisis. And before, no one cared about addicts because, these addicts are the ones, people like me when I was young, these, poor, kids that are in the ghettos. Nobody cared until it was your son.
Rich.
It was your son in the middle class and upper middle class and your daughters.
That are dying.
And right now, there's not a family out there that doesn't know somebody that's in their addiction right now. And so what's going on? And they're not about to stop this. And let's be real, man. All these politicians are also taking kickbacks from China-owned companies. So why would, like anywhere else, this would be terrorism. Yeah. If somebody came into our country and killed this many people, that's called terrorism.
And isn't it a couple 100,000 a year that are dying right now?
That is correct. And it's going up every year.
Folks, you're hearing the truth right now. You want to know why the border crisis isn't solved? It's this.
That's right.
There are multiple reasons, but the links to China and the money being made, this is what it is, period.
But where I sit, and there's so much involved too. The doctors, doctors and their whole career, in their whole education, they only get 3 hours of addiction training. But yet they're the ones with a script writing out that's going to kill you. They're giving, and so now what they've done is, of course, Big Pharma and the government has decided that the solution for the opiate crisis is another opiate.
Tell us about
called
that.
Suboxone. So they did this with methadone years ago.
I remember.
Right? And they come up and they say so Big Pharma creates the issue. Big Pharma comes as the hero for the problem. Do you think it's to their best interest to get people off narcotics? Why? Don't you want repeat customers? So let's give another addictive drug. And then they found out, which is true, and I know this for true of truths, anyone out there that has ever been on methadone, your kick, for Suboxone kick, as in detoxing, is going to last 10 days. You know what I mean? Like a really good one, right? You're going to go 3 weeks, no sleep on methadone. Wow. And it's more addictive than the substance you're trying to get off of. Wow. So now everyone's saying, oh, the methadone isn't working, right? Big Pharma, let's make another one. Let's do another one that's a narcotic. The way that the receptors in our brain work is that when they're woken up with a narcotic, you cannot use another narcotic. That makes no sense. The addiction is still alive. That's why they do this maintenance. They call it, Suboxone maintenance. And I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are, especially on your show, that are not going to like what I'm saying because it's not popular.
Bring it.
And I'm sure some of you guys out there are probably on it. And you think it's a softer, easier way to do it. But let me tell you, show me people that are on long-term Suboxone that don't keep relapsing. Show me it. And I'm watching and see, the thing is I see it because I deal with it every day. I'm not sitting in some, penthouse, looking at statistics. I'm watching the people. I'm with all the addicts,
Well, now tell us about that. Let's transition to your actual, your organization. Okay. Because I want people to know, because right now I can hear the emails being typed already. Where's he at? How can we need help, right?
Okay. So, here's so 6 years ago, entertainment's my background, and you guys, should I plug who I am to where they know who I am? A lot of you guys out there, I'm sure you know who I am. I produced a thing called Felony Fights. It hit best-selling all over the world. It was underground fight club, very, very violent. At the time, it was the most violent thing out there. And I produced that when I got out of prison, one of my last times. And that's when I built it up and destroyed it all. Anyway, and after that, I did a lot of different things. I've done trap flicks with Snoop Dogg. I've done a lot of stuff with Ghostface Killer from Wu-Tang. A lot of entertainment's my background, and that's really my main thing. It was until I'm in recovery and I'm seeing these addicts, and I have tattoo shops. I have a lot of other businesses, and every single one of them, I always have meetings, AA and NA meetings. Oh, wow. I always have addicts that I employ. I only want to employ addicts, to be honest, those in recovery in all of my businesses. And so what I do is I do these meetings. So I've always been on the front lines watching what's going on, even when I'm in entertainment. And the treatment industry is a broken industry. Yeah. Unfortunately, you parents and wives and husbands out there, you're going online, you're like, oh my gosh, my son, my daughter, they're going to die. Let me Google, and you got this place in Malibu, and it says, you just come here and we're going to fix your kid.
Big marketing.
And then what you do is you refi your house because you think, I'll do anything for my son and my daughter. And they go in there, they come out 30 days, and they get high again. And then they do this over and over and over again, and you cannot understand, why is my son not fixed?
Right.
Because the whole treatment industry, if you look at the statistics, it is broken. Yeah. But yet all these companies keep coming on, and all they're doing is replicating the same broken system.
Because it's for money.
Because it's for money.
Yeah.
And that's why I got into it, because I'm tired of people using my people like a commodity. Wow. And I can't stand it. And the body brokering that's going on, it's human trafficking that's going on. And that's why I got into it. There was no law at the time even against it. And they came up with this law 2 years ago. They're not enforcing it. Literally today, I come here, I'm driving here. There's a girl that we were getting from Oklahoma out of this horrible conditions where her guys out there having prostituting and all this. We get her out of the situation. We get her on a plane. We have her fly to LAX, and I lost her this morning. You know why I lost her too? A body broker had somehow gotten a hold of her, and they're going to pay her to go to treatment to a horrible place and pay her to get high in between each one. And what happens is they die in the meantime. And that's why I got into it. So I decided, my sponsor says, if I'm going to talk crap about something,
right.
I better shut the hell up or do something about it.
Right.
As you guys can tell, I'm not good at shutting the hell up. So I got into the industry, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I started one little one as a passion project, and it was God's. It is God's. It is not mine. God directed me towards this, and I said, okay, God, let me do this little thing. And I opened this one little one, and the phone's ringing, and I did everything that is not popular in this industry.
Right.
And I thought I was going to have 3 or 4 guys. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing everything that everyone's against.
The opposite.
The opposite.
Yep.
And I have 140 beds.
Wow.
And growing.
Wow.
And I have not bent on my morals, and I'm the only one doing it the way we're doing it. I'm the only one. And the best part about it is, like, Jesse and some of these girls that came up here, and like, these people come through my program, and then they stay, and then they join it, and they come back and help, and it's.
Hey, folks, what you're listening to is pure passion, God directed. You know, you remind me of me in many aspects of ministry. We've done it the opposite way. Somebody told us to, but all you want is God's favor. I mean, you're gifted. As a businessman, you're gifted as a leader, and those skills are required to be effective in this, but you have to have the heart of God. Yeah. And where the street cred comes in is you've lived it versus some guy, who's going to leave in his Lamborghini.
Yes.
And then do more commercials. Yeah. So how can people...
So the name of my company is Stairway Recovery. And you guys can, Google it. And we're all over Los Angeles. I have facilities. I'm trying to expand into everywhere, to be honest. And my goal, my goal is to follow God. And I'm going to be honest. And, I had a awakening like a month ago because I'm so passionate about this thing. And I wake up every day and I say, God, please use me as a vessel that you will. And that's my prayer, and I just show up. And I stopped doing I put everything aside. I stopped entertainment. I stopped everything. Wow. And my last time incarcerated, I'm supposed to be on a life sentence. And I was fighting a life sentence. I should be in there. Wow. There's no reason I should be out here. And I didn't know why. And I also don't know why. Why have all my friends pretty much died of overdoses or some kind of violence, but yet I'm still here. And I was a horrible person out there. And I now know. And it's because God uses knuckleheads, right? Yeah. And so I've just continued to do this, and I'm so passionate. And it's like about a month ago, I realized I didn't like some of the results and how things were going. And you know what I realized? There I am. I give it to God, but I take it back. And I'm like, no, it's mine. Yeah. And I had to. God really reminded me, and it was so beautiful, and I got to sit back and go and see. And I don't know when it was that I took over and put God in the passenger seat. Yeah. And you know what I can tell you at this moment sitting here? It's God's again. Yeah. And I'm excited to see whatever he wants to do or not do. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to show up. But
that's a peaceful feeling. Now, how do you get funding? Because the majority of people coming to you, they don't have the money.
No, so here's the problem. So here's the problem. I started out and I had a lot of money, and as I started one little one, and I thought, I'm just going to do this little passion project, but I couldn't say no when people are calling and they're dying out there. So I just kept opening them. And, ours, we scholarship so many people. Scholarship means free. Right. We do take insurance if you have it. But the problem is now that's even going away because these doctors and insurance companies are now saying that they are not going to pay you if you don't prescribe that narcotic Suboxone and poison our people. And you
won't do that, will you?
I will not. You'd have to shoot me in the head. The problem, and it saddens me because in the last year and a half, even ones that I thought were my allies and my friends that were in this treatment game, and they were ardent and they know Suboxone's poison. And all of a sudden they're saying, well, insurance companies aren't going to pay them. They're like, well, let me rethink this. Yeah. And I cut them off. I won't deal with anyone that's not on the same page.
We call it a blessed subtraction because, for a penny and for a pound, like they say, and the goal is to help the person.
That's right.
It's just like what we do with, the counter pedophile walk, helping children. Yeah. It's amazing how many organizations are not about, they talk about it, but ultimately the end result to them isn't the person. their well-being, lifelong. They just want to make a splash. And I go, that to me, that's not God honoring.
No.
So what is an average cost for somebody just to come? And I know it could vary.
Yeah, it costs me. So out of my pocket when I scholarship a client, because we do really good trauma work too.
Which is key.
Yeah. So I think that, it costs about $6,800 a month per client is at my cost. But because I have the best of the best. And what we do is I house them. And then what we do is I always say this, if you have a train coming at you that's going to kill you, the first thing I got to work on is not the caboose. I have to work on the engine, which is the addiction piece. And I have the best at that. So we work on the addiction piece, myself with them. And then what we do is once they're stabilized, then we look at the causes. And not everyone with trauma is an addict, but every addict has trauma. And if you don't deal with this trauma, you're going to bleed on people that never cut you the rest of your life.
Wow.
And so we are really good at doing the trauma work, and we don't let insurance companies dictate level of care. And we've done that the whole time, and we're the only ones that do that. Trauma work takes about a year.
Right.
Sometimes more. Insurance companies at the most are going to pay you 3 months. So what we do, even the clients that the insurance covers, we hold them until they're done. And to me, I could never tell somebody, oh, the insurance company says you're done, so go and die. But that's what everyone does in this industry.
Folks, you're hearing the hard truth, but this is the reality. And visiting with Michael Lynch today, what's your website that they can go to?
Stairwayrecovery.com.
Is there a place for people to make a donation there?
Yeah,
or
they can contact.
Okay.
They can contact, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have I have a foundation, a very small one that's attached, and I literally just started it. And it's funny, I should have had my companies running as a foundation from the beginning, because it has been a nonprofit.
Yeah.
It's cost me.
Yep.
We haven't made a penny in profit since I started 6 years ago, but we expand with it. I've gotten some donations and a lot of people helping me, but mostly it's been self-funded between my business partner and I.
Well,
yeah.
Thank God for you and what you do. Starting his new foundation, folks, if you're out there, one, and you have someone that needs help, reach out to Michael and his organization. Two, if you have a little bit of extra that you want to send, even a little bit, it will make a difference. It's like here, ATP Ministries, everybody thinks you have to give a ton of money. Our giving is actually down right now since the first time in 2019, which is interesting. And we don't ask a lot, but we always live by faith. So we're going to continue that. We're going to make a donation to your foundation for $5,000.
Oh, wow.
And you spread that out however you want to help someone or people in need. And we know that it'll come back to us, because people watching and listening know we're the real deal. We'll always put the money.
Every penny goes into the addict.
I don't doubt that one bit.
Awesome.
So final thing.
Yeah.
Because we're wrapping it up here,
Yeah.
getting ready to land. I asked my first-time guest 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one is this. What's your perception of us as an organization, or me and my wife? And you've been able to be here and see, so you have a little bit more insight. But how would you describe this to people listening?
I think because of where I've been and the places I've been, I can discern people pretty well, especially bullshit. I see it. Honestly, I know you're the real deal. I was very surprised. I was very surprised to hear you guys represent Jesus the way I think too.
Wow.
And I don't think that we became Christians to be doormats. Nope. And I don't hear a lot of people with that philosophy. And listening to you especially, I know that God directed me to you. I'm going to tell you that. I know that.
Well, I'm thankful that he did, and I'm glad for our friendship.
Yeah.
And what it's going to mean for the future too.
Yeah.
Last question. We all die.
Yeah.
You and I, we could have punched a ticket more than once in our day.
Yeah.
What happens to Michael when he dies? When it's time, you're 150, you're on preservatives. Yeah. No, what happens when you close your eyes, and why do you believe that? Why do you personally believe what you're about to tell me?
I'm without a doubt going to heaven. I know this.
Why do you say that with such confidence?
Because Jesus said so. I don't deserve it, but I know it to be.
People listening and watching right now go, oh my gosh, I wish I had that level of confidence. What would you tell them? How do you share that hope and that faith? What would you tell them what they need to do?
Take the risk like I did. I was so against this, and I took the risk, and I had nothing to lose. I've tried my life my way, and it didn't work. And I gave my life to Jesus, and honestly, I seen what he could do, and I could always back out, is what I thought.
Wow.
And as soon as I did, my life started changing, and weirdly, it changed from the inside out. And I have never in my entire life have peace in my heart and in my head. My whole life has been impending doom. And when I gave my life to Jesus, he showed up and he took it away, and that was the miracle. And since then, and since I give my life, and to me, it's a daily thing. I'll take my rule back, and then, things go my way, which aren't good. And then I give it back to Jesus, and it happens every time. And I can tell you this, since I gave my life to Jesus, not one time has anything happened as bad as I thought it was going to.
Wow.
And boy, did I future trip on everything.
And a lot of that actually, folks, has to do with demonic lies that will whisper or shoot fiery darts in your brain. This, if you, what, if, and then, versus, well, I'm just going to trust God at his word. Surrender to Jesus. Sounds like you've never regretted it.
No. Best decision I ever made in my entire life.
Hey, if that's you watching and listening, you go, I can honestly say, fellas, I've never made that decision. Why don't you do it right now? We'll pray with you. Just repeat this prayer. Say, Jesus, I surrender my life to you. Please forgive me of everything I've done wrong. Would you be my Lord? And thank you for dying on the cross for me. So I give you me for what you've done in your death and resurrection and your love for me. In Jesus' name, amen. It's that simple, and it's not magical words that do it. It's just your heart. And talk to God. Get a Bible. Let us know if you've prayed. If you want some information, you can go to our website, victormarks.com, and look under resources. And we've got some good resources free that you can download or we'll send you. It's important that you grow in your faith. Michael, thanks for being on the program. And one more time, the name of your organization so people can hear it, the last thing.
Stairway Recovery. So that's at stairwayrecovery.com. And we're out of Los Angeles, California for now.
You got it. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, make sure you live in full throttle for the Lord. You won't be disappointed. God bless you. Until next time.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. We'd love to stay connected with you and invite you to the conversation beyond this podcast. You can check out more of the work we're doing around the world at victormarks.com, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all linked in the show notes. Be sure to drop us a comment in the review section if today's show has impacted you in any way, or if there's anything you'd like to hear more of. We're always encouraged to hear from you. Thanks for spending your time with us. Until next time.